Green Day on your KROQ, KROQ. In our studio now, a legend that is the feature, the focus of a documentary that is now on Netflix. Local story, but if you think about all the artists and bands and music you've heard on KROQ over the years, I would say that Norman Harris is a part of that story. From Norman's Rare Guitars, the documentary now on Netflix. Take a listen.
It's business as usual at Norman's Rare Guitars in the San Fernando Valley.
Throughout the store's history, we've had some of the most iconic guitar players in the world come through.
All of the rock legends shop at Norm's.
Now Norman Harris is in our studios right now here at KROQ, so let me just start by saying on behalf of fans of most of the bands we play, thank you for providing them with the instruments they need to keep making great music for us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I really appreciate it.
Local story started as a small store in 1975 in Reseda, then has expanded now to your big store in Tarzana. But every guitar has got stories behind it, and the relationships you have with everyone. I mean, we could start at the beginning with, like, Kurt Cobain. He came in to look for a guitar right as Nirvana was, like, getting big.
Right.
And you didn't even know who he was.
I didn't. I have a friend of mine, Rob, who works for me at the store, and he was younger, and he would point out, some of these guys that I didn't know who they were, and he'd go, you know who that is? And I'd kind of go stupid and go, no, and he'd whisper in my ear, and then, I knew the guys like George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, all the guys from maybe the generation a little bit before. And as Kurt came in, apparently somebody threw him out of a store. And
he got thrown out of the store?
Yeah, I guess, he was picking up some stuff. Same thing happened with Joe Bonamassa, where he was in a store in Hollywood and started picking up some expensive guitars, and somebody said, I don't think you could pick those up. And then somebody came up to him and said, hey, there's a store in the valley you might want to go to. The guy will let you play whatever you want.
Yeah, so you can, and you'll play with people as well, right? I mean, you guys, when you were just starting out, you would kind of jam out with whoever wanted to pick up a guitar and play.
Well, back in the day, we weren't really well known, so it was...
It was just low-key, like word of mouth.
It was very low-key, yeah.
So what are some of the most famous people that you've actually played guitar with, even if it was just in your store?
Well, this was actually in an apartment I had before I even had a store. It was George Harrison for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And, but just, I played in a band with Ron Blair, who was in the Heartbreakers with Tom Petty for 2 years before he joined the Heartbreakers. And I knew Tom before any of the stuff really kind of happened for him.
And some of the guitars that you have sold to some of these guys, like Klein said, they're just breaking. Maybe they don't have their first paycheck yet. What have you been offered instead of money to pay for a guitar?
What have I been offered instead of money?
Yeah, weed, etc. I'm sure you've been offered a lot of collateral instead of money.
Allie traded her own guitar away for a bag of weed.
I did.
And she regrets it because she thinks she could have been a great guitar player, and instead she's just a dumb pothead.
Yeah, but I'm sure people have offered you things other than money.
Well, back in the day, I grew up in the 60s, so I don't like to talk about it a lot. But, I was offered some things, and, sometimes I took them.
Good, you got trade is trade. Are there any artists like the Dave Grohl? I know you have some, KROQ regulars like the Dave Grohls and the Becks that come by and have all gotten stuff. Do any of them owe you money currently?
Not currently. Usually we have a two-time payment plan, half now and the rest now. So we try to make it
immediately.
Yeah.
And the guitars, by the way, not cheap, because Johnny, our very own postmaster Johnny, claims that he used to loiter at your shop. He doesn't have the money to buy any of those nice guitars, but some of the guitars you've sold, I would imagine hundreds of thousands. Have they gotten that expensive?
There are some that have gotten, fairly astronomical.
What's the most money you've ever sold a guitar for?
Well, I've sold a number of guitars for 6 figures, but we have guitars in all price ranges, and we try to be for the regular guy. I mean, that's something that we show by appointment.
Yeah, but you can probably tell people who walk in that are serious and people who walk in like Johnny, right?
Well,
like that are just kind of there to be there.
Through experience, but it's really, we try to be welcoming to everybody so that people can come in, and whatever level you're at, there's something that we would have that would kind of fit your budget.
Norman Harris is in our studio right now. Norman's Rare Guitars. The documentary is currently on Netflix, a local guitar store that all of the greats have gone to at some point. Taylor Hawkins is, drums there. Chris Martin, Coldplay, Billy Corgan. it's all any stories from any of these KROQ artists that you can remember. Shoplifting was there every time you had to bust one of these guys and then they became super famous.
No, we never really had anybody shoplifting. Billy Corgan was in just the other day with his son, and Billy's a really great guy, and he's got a wrestling thing that he's into right now. And when I was a kid, I was really into wrestling, so I like to talk to Billy about that. And we had Van Halen came in back in the day just when he got his first contract, and he bought 2 Sunburst Les Pauls from me. Now those guitars at the time were $5,500 and $6,500. Those guitars now would probably be between $250,000 and $500,000.
Oh, that's the investment we should have made.
I know, why?
Stupid cryptocurrency.
Well, I mean, we just talked about the other day, like the ability to buy something and then resell it for more. It is a skill.
Yeah, well, listen.
You know who's even dumber? Me, because I sold them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're the big dumber.
That's true,
It's not easy for us to get a guest in studio who's dumber than us, but good job. And is it true or false that Dave Grohl at one point started working at the store doing vacuum? Right? You had hired him.
He came in, and one day, one of the guys had the vacuum out. And Dave took the vacuum and he started vacuuming the store. So we got a little video of that. And Taylor was like one of my favorite people, Taylor Hawkins. I was telling Johnny, one day we had gotten a drum set and we have a platform where we were setting them up and the drums weren't tuned. And Taylor walks in and he goes, "Hey, you want me to tune those drums?" I go, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." And he's over there tuning them. And some kid who's about 12 years old comes in with his dad. And the kid looks over in the corner and he sees Taylor and just absolutely freezes. And he can't say anything. He doesn't know what to say. And Taylor kind of noticed that. And Taylor walked up to him and stuck out his hand and said, "Hey, I'm Taylor. What's your name?" Taylor was just like one of those sweet guys. And Taylor used to work at a music store in Orange County when he was a kid.
Have you ever sold a guitar to somebody famous that then broke it on stage and trashed it?
That's got to be tough to see.
Well, I have, not too often. Well, there was a guitar that we used to buy a lot of guitars. I would do a trade with a lot of big groups for the Hard Rock Cafe, where they wanted to acquire wallpapers, some of the guitars that you would see on the wall. And there was one guitar that we actually took in trade that was in a video that was in a swimming pool. And the guitar was basically ruined, but it was that guitar, and there was history there. So memorabilia is a whole other thing, and we do quite a bit of that.
I feel like you got to love it when bands break up, right? They get in fights and break up because you're probably thinking, but a lot of equipment's going to come my way now, right?
Not really. I mean, I've seen that happen. It's like a bad marriage when these bands break up. And I've been in a few bands and I've experienced that myself, and it's not a lot of fun.
Norman's Rare Guitars YouTube channel has over 500,000 subscribers. Of course, you can follow Instagram as well. But the documentary, which is why Norman's here today, is now on Netflix. The stories behind some of the guitars, the people that have popularized what was a local shop but is now truly a world-famous shop. Norman, thank you for stopping by KROQ. It's such a cool story, and really, I think about even the next band we play. I bet, I don't know if there's a band we play in KROQ that didn't at some point go in there, because it's almost like a rite of passage. Not that you can't go in there as a beginner, but like once you get that first real deal rock star check, I feel like
if you're in LA, you got to go to Norman's.
Yeah, like Johnny already said, if he wins the lottery or ever actually makes any money at this job, the first place he's going is into Norman's shop. So thank you for inspiring us all, dude. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Buy those lottery tickets.
Buy the lottery tickets, and he'll be there selling the guitars. So visit and support local business, by the way, in Tarzana at Norman's Rare Guitars. We got to take we'll give you this one from Switchfoot, then we'll do takeaways from today's show. One last shout out to Allie, and if you want lift tickets to hang with us, call now. We know you didn't ask for these videos, but you're watching them anyway, which means you truly have nothing better to do.
Yeah.
So let this be a moment where we tell you to get your life in check.
Maybe you're still listening, or maybe you've completely checked out, or you're pretending to work at your desk right now. For whatever reason, thanks for watching, and we hope you watch more.
Yeah, and if you're supposed to be doing a different job right now, this is your friendly reminder to shuffle some papers and act annoyed and do things where you go like, "Oh, God, I'll get to this eventually," because that's what business people do.
Is that what you think business people do?
I assume so. I've never had a real job.
All right, so click like, subscribe to this or the podcast, or you can listen to the live show where you can't see our faces, and trust me, that's a bonus.
That's right, because this is what we also look like on the radio.
We don't look different.